Welcome back. It's LaShanda Henry here, aka SistaSense, and we are inside the Content to Cashflow experience for week number 5. As always, I want to make sure that I can help you get started, get clear, and work towards getting more customers. So we are going to continue with our bi-weekly profit projects. We started the conversation with how to create subscription programs. Then we dove headfirst into digital products, my easy audio, easy LPP strategy. And now we're going to talk about what you can do to create a print-on-demand offer. Now, before we move forward, let me say this, and I'll talk a little bit more about this later, but our 6-week experience is going to become a 12-week experience. So if you've enjoyed working on profit projects and consistently being able to join the community on a week-by-week basis to work on your business, I've decided to extend this. So good news is that even though this is session 5, we can potentially go to all the way up to 12 sessions if you'd like. And the details to sign up for the extension is on the replays page. You should see a green button there if you're curious about that. So, as always, my goal is to help you, develop your irresistible offers, generate leads, improve your conversions, and work on ultimately your goals, which is why when I reached out to you guys last week and said, hey, we're on session 4, would you like to explore the opportunity of doing more? And quite a few of you said yes. I said, okay, let's do it. Let's do a 12-week extension. So if you're interested in signing up for that, feel free to let me know. Or rather, you can just simply register right now for the extension on the replays page. So as always, make sure that you've got your CTC Google Doc open, and you don't necessarily need to do anything else because, as you know, when we start the conversations around creating another offer, we do prep first and then we do tech next time we get together. So creating a print-on-demand product. Yes! What I want to do today is to talk to you about one of my favorite things, which is self-publishing, printing your profits. And essentially, one of the best ways to get into self-publishing is through print-on-demand. Now, when I started creating my own content, and as you know, I've been doing this for 2 decades now, print-on-demand, there's so many things that have changed in the last 2 decades online very, very, very quickly. And the online space has definitely changed what we think of as far as traditional sales and business, entrepreneurship, publishing, all the things, right? Digital has definitely, the online world has definitely affected the real world. So with that being said, back in the day, traditional publishing was really the only way you could get yourself out there. And traditional publishing would be you either getting a publishing house to print your content, right? Or you going to private printing manufacturers saying, okay, here is my offer, and then having them print it out. But if you went to private companies to do self-publishing, you would have to print out hundreds, if not 1,000 plus copies because they're used to doing larger volumes. Then came the web, then came the internet, and print on demand allowed small mom and pop entrepreneurs, solopreneurs like myself to print in smaller quantities. So literally, if you had a book that you want to put out, if you had a t-shirt line that you wanted to launch, you didn't have to print out hundreds or, again, thousands. You could print as little as 1 or 2, as much as you needed, or even none at all. You could just get your stuff uploaded and then have people purchase without you having to purchase a lot of that product in the back end. So print on demand definitely changed the face of publishing, and it's one of my favorite ways to share budget-friendly solutions to get your content out there. So today what we're going to do is I'm going to talk to you about putting together a profit project that I like to call the QuickBook project. And I create QuickBooks that for me normally take me a few hours or at most a few days to put together. And the goal here is that you work on building on what you've already built. So when we started this conversation, right, I wanted you to work on creating two things. Number one, I wanted you to work on creating sort of a continuity subscription-based offer. And number two, when we started to talk about getting customers, I wanted you to start writing content where you're sharing your expertise and really creating material that you could offer to your audience, right? Then we evolved from simply writing content to number one, turning that written material into other formats, and then also having a conversation around creating a digital offer, specifically an audio-based offer that you've mapped out and hopefully been working on, right? Now, to continue that conversation, I want us to build on what you've built. So if you mapped out and outlined an audio offer, what I want you to be able to do is to now take that audio material and put it in a book format, because that allows you to create one of my favorite things, which is big, beautiful bundles. So being in a space where you can offer someone an audio-based training, and then if you have it, offer them a digital or a print book that they can have, and then if you have to continue the conversation, a continuity subscription program as well, you can continue working with that person. So having multiple opportunities for them to invest in working with you, right? That digital training, that digital and or printable book, that subscription-based offer, those are the pieces that I wanted us to work on putting together, okay? So we're going to focus on today how to prep, outline, and write your content. And some of you probably have some of these pieces written, so that'll definitely help you, because I know, like me, outside of you working on your vision, I'm sure you have other parts of your life that you have to work on as well. So building on what you've built allows you to really maximize your time and create good quality content without feeling like you're taking up a lot of time to do so, or even a lot of money, okay? So let's talk about what it would look like to work on this QuickBook project, okay? We're going to do a quick and not so dirty outline, okay? So first, think about the topic that you decided to focus on for your Easy LPP audio project, right? And we did 7 for 7. I said I want you to essentially pick a topic, break that topic into 7 points, and you can either record 1 full audio or you can record 7 audios, right? So that you're creating some sort of digital easy audio product for your audience, okay? Now, the book outline allows you to 3E it, right? So you know when I talk about the 3 E's, expand, enhance, elaborate. So you're in a space where you have this audio content. Now you can give them a written version of it, okay? Now, this is going to be the outline as it is. If you want to add more to it, you're certainly welcome to, but I always like to keep it seriously simple for you, right? KISS. So your outline would be an introduction, just simply writing why you've decided to put this book together, who it's for, number 1. Then number 2, you essentially would be creating each of the key points and giving it its own section, right? So if you have 7 key points, which was what the goal of the audio training was, then you would have 7 key points, 7 key sections. Now, for each of these sections, there are some things that you may want to pull out. If you have them, great. If you don't have them, you may want to consider them. These are optional, but they're worth highlighting, okay? Number 1, key questions. So as you shared your recommendations for each of the 7 points, Were there any particular questions that you mentioned in the audio that you want your particular reader, well, originally listener, right, because they were listening to the audio, but now it's going to be in book format. So maybe there are certain questions you want your reader to be aware of, number one. Number two, key activities. Were there anything in particular that you wanted them to do? Now, again, all of these may not apply to you, but if they do, these are worth highlighting for each of your sections, okay? And then resources. Did you find that there were any types of resources that you mentioned in each section that you want to highlight? And that's basically it. So, for example, I said to you that my audio is all around how to share the best tools, right? In particular, talking specifically about so my training, my audio training that I worked on is about sharing the best low-cost tools to create high-quality products, right? So the book version of this is going to be an introduction of why I wanted to put this tool together, right? Why I wanted to talk about these tools. That's the intro. And then there are the key points. So I'm sharing 7 tools. So I'm going to be creating 7 sections, 1 tool per section. Then there are key questions, right? So for each tool, I want the person to really think about, is this something that you need, right? Here are some things to think about when it comes to this particular tool. For each tool, there's an activity, and the activity is to go get the tool. If you need it, then go get it. Here it is, right? And then, of course, the resource would be the tool itself, where they could actually go and get that piece of content. So, excuse me, I've got a little bit of the hiccups. So it's for you to think about, again, if you have any questions, activities, or resources that you would connect to each point and then highlighting them, okay? Then, of course, your conclusion. And in your conclusion, you can just kind of either reiterate what you said in the introduction, you can wrap it up, you can share some next steps that you want them to do. Oftentimes, when I'll create my QuickBooks, I'll say, okay, now that we've done this, if you're ready to do more, here's something else that I've created that you may want to tap into, right? So really simple QuickBooks. This is our key project. You want to take the audio content that you were supposed to be working on over the last 2 weeks and now build on it, right? Take that information and turn it into a QuickBook. For me, my QuickBooks, again, are books that I write in anywhere between a couple of hours to a few days. A week, that's stretching it for me. Normally, my QuickBooks can be anywhere between 10 to 15 pages at the smallest and 100 to 120 pages at the longest. And usually when it's that long, it's not just because I'm writing, but I'm also maybe finding things that I already wrote and then putting it in there as well, which kind of extends it out and makes it a little bit longer. So the first part of it today is me talking to you about our last project, which is a print-on-demand product. The goal, just to backtrack here, is you're going to take the next week to basically outline and write your content. And then when we get together next time, I'm going to offer you a template to then put the information in there. I don't want to give you the template today because, as I always say, we prep and then we tech, number one. Then number two, I find sometimes people get lost in the wrong thing. They want to start writing in the template and customizing, and things get confusing and just write first, and then you can copy and paste what you've written into the template when we come back together, okay? So, as I mentioned before, if you go to the replays page, you'll see a link that says Profit Project number 3, because we're on the third one, right? And the same link is also connected to the Content to Cashflow Challenge number 5. It's actually the same PDF. And in that, you'll see this outline that I'm giving here to you so you have it for your reference. So here are some recommendations that I have as far as working on this really simple outline for your QuickBook. Number one, you can either paraphrase the audio that you recorded or you can transcribe it, okay? So A lot of people will create audio content like podcasts or interviews, or even have videos and then pull the audio out the video and then have it transcribed where somebody writes it out, right? And there are lots of different transcription services and software out there. Oftentimes, I will talk about the platform rev.com, rev.com. It's a platform in which they charge you $1 per minute. So if you've got like a 60-minute audio, then it would be $60 for them to transcribe it, write it out, and send it to you, okay? And then, of course, once you get the transcription, obviously you're talking, so if you wanted to sound like real sentences, you'd have to, take a little bit of time, a couple hours or a few days to edit it and make sure that it's, readable, but transcribing your audio is certainly something that you can do either by yourself or using some sort of transcription software or service. There are lots of people on Fiverr that do transcription, and then there are other services outside of rev.com, okay? But paraphrasing is honestly the easier way, where you already know what you said in the audio, so just kind of in your own words, write it out, right? That's another thing that you can do. Now, for each of these sections, from the introduction on down, 1 to 5 paragraphs, okay? This is a quick book, so it isn't really, really long. If you want to do more than that, you can, but you don't necessarily have to. So, for example, I would do my introduction, and then I would have the first section. And honestly, my first section of my quick book might be anywhere between 1 to 3 pages, because I'm going to share my point. I'm going to ask them if they have any questions, or I'm going to share questions with them, or maybe say, okay, now that I've shared this tool, this is where you can go get the tool. So it really is maybe a paragraph, 2, 3, 5 at most, okay? And this is just me kind of giving you, because people always say, how long should it be? How much should I write? Honestly, if you feel like you want to say more, go for it. But if you're not an avid writer, this is not the kind of book where you necessarily feel like you need every section to be like a 50-plus page chapter, okay? The goal is to create something that if somebody didn't necessarily want to listen to a 60, 30-minute, 90-minute audio, they can go, I love the fact that I can just kind of read what you say, get to what I need. I don't need that tool. I don't need that tool. Okay, let me read her section on this tool, right? A lot of people right now, especially when it comes to information, they're looking for instant gratification. They're looking for you to give them what they need, the answer, the information, in quick, easy reads. Some people prefer the audio. Other people prefer the text, which is why combining them is a great way to go. And what I love about the print project here is that you can give them the digital version, but then you can also print it out and have a physical version too. So far, is that clear for you? What we're talking about, your goal here is to take the audio content that you're working on and work on some written content that we can put in the form of a book that you can actually print, okay? And again, each of the sections that you have in your book, they don't necessarily have to be long. And you can see examples of the kind of QuickBooks that I've written when you look in the PDF that I gave you for today, the Profit Project number 3. At the very top, you'll see something that says Browse Examples. It will take you to a store that has lots of different self-published books and even magazine issues that I've written. And the majority of them, I don't think any of them are longer than 40 pages. Even my magazine averaged about 32 pages. But again, it's about the content and the information that you put in it. There are a lot of people who are making a lot of money on platforms like Amazon, selling shorter, really dense books when it comes to giving people the information that they want right there, okay? So, food for thought. So, with that being said, outside of what I shared with you thus far, there are a few other things you can consider when it comes to putting your book together. One is offering a free gift. So one of the things that I talk about is how to strategically get customers and attract new leads, right? Whether it be getting new people or retaining your existing people. So if somebody purchases a book from you, right, especially if it's a print book, right, if you put a free gift in there, that's an opportunity for you to get that person onto your email list. So you can say, you know, hopefully you got a lot of value out of this, but I want to thank you so much for getting this book. Here's a free gift. A lot of people do that now to strategically capture the email addresses of people who are reading their book, right? And then consider if somebody says, oh my gosh, this is a great book, you should read it, and they lend it to a friend, that allows you to not only get the person who paid for it, but the person who borrowed it too, right? Food for thought. So if you do have a landing page, a lead magnet, something that you want people to sign up for, offering them this is worth, I think it's worth it, okay? The next option here is quotes. So one of the things that I'm going to talk about when we get to actually designing your quick book is how you can create something. You can take a small amount of content and create something that visually looks very appealing by how you lay out your material. And you've probably seen books where they'll have special pages that are just a quote, right? It could be a quote and just some great colors, or a quote and a graphic, but they're visually appealing. So if you have, 7 pages just like that, that adds on to the amount of content that's in the book, but then it also really highlights something that you want to share with others, right? So you don't necessarily have to have highlight quote sections in each of your sections, but if they're, for example, if you are somebody who's doing something motivational or encouraging, you can take a piece of that or pull a piece of that kind of content out for each of your sections, okay? Again, optional. And then the last optional piece here is to have an author bio. A lot of times I would consider the quick books that I create to be multifaceted, in that, yes, I want to teach people and share the information that they've invested in as part of the book, but also I want to use the book as credibility content. And when I say that, I mean I want them to be able to gain value from it and say, oh, who is this person? I want to learn more from this person. I want to work with this person. So number one, giving them an opportunity to get a free gift that they can go to an email page, a landing page, and sign up, put their email in. That's one thing. But then number two, just sharing a little bit about who you are, what you do, a little micro author bio page also allows them to get to know you a little bit more. All of this is optional, but again, it's up to you whether or not you would like to add these pieces on. Again, with the goal of creating a quick book that would average, I would say, at the very least, at the very smallest, somewhere between 12 to 20 pages. Now, in some cases, I will tell you this. I remember when I created my first quick book, it was the Sisters, what is it? Start Your Business on a Flostering Budget Starter Guide. Starter Guide, 20 pages. And I always tell this story because at the time I wanted to create a bigger book, but I just kept making the excuse, I don't have the time, it's going to take forever to write a bigger book, blah, blah, blah. And I always say you can find a way or find an excuse, but you cannot do both. So my solution was to create a short, information-packed book. And then when I went to events, I had that booklet, which was 20 pages, and I paired it with my audio, which I would talk about, how to monetize, how to market, how to get sales. So when I would go and vend at events, people would have the physical 20-page booklet, and then they would also get an audio from me or a flash drive with trainings from me, and that's how I would build up physical versions of my digital content. So it is great and it is valuable to take the time to create longer, lengthier books, but it's also valuable to add value onto your digital content by creating physical booklets And again, it doesn't necessarily have to be 12 or 20 pages. It can be, 30, 40, 50 pages, right? If you feel like you want to add more to it, don't feel like I'm limiting you. I'm just giving you a sense of what it is that I do when I put my pages in particular together. So feel free to check in with me and let me know if you have any questions about what we talked about thus far. As far as those of you who are here, I just want to make sure that this is clear. And let me know if you plan on working on the QuickBook project, okay? So again, it doesn't necessarily have to be something where you're sitting down trying to come up with something new. My suggestion to you is to build on what you built. Take this opportunity to create a written version of the audio content we talked about over the last 2 weeks, and then you can use this outline to support you. So let's check in to see what you guys are saying in the comment section here. Everybody good? Everybody clear? I'm just going to do a quick power pause, and then we will move forward. Awesome. So it's good to see that you guys are focused on working on your content. Leanna says, started my media page, so this is perfect. And quite a few of you are talking about working on the QuickBook project. So that's good. Good stuff. Let's continue by diving into the next part of this conversation. And again, feel free to check in with me if you have questions. As always, we talk about two things for each session, right? We have a profit project, and then also we have the conversation around smart things that you can do to get customers. So as you know, as part of the 6-week conversation we've been having every week, I wanted to share a different way to get customers. Thus far, we've been talking about how to create your content, work on communication, cross-promotion, collaborations. And today, for week number 5, we're going to talk about cosigns, okay? So what does it mean to get cosigned? For me, it simply means that somebody vouches for you. They're like, this is definitely somebody you need to go to because they're the real deal, right? At the end of the day, a lot of people want to be educated buyers, right? Sometimes we impulse buy, but a lot of times we want to be educated buyers. So if somebody can say, listen, I vouch for this person, they're legit, they're the real deal, they're going to give you the quality that you need, that's definitely something that you want. So when we talked about collaborations, we were talking about both direct and indirect ways that you can work with organizations and individuals. In this case, when we talk about cosign, it's kind of like collaborations, but not necessarily, because you don't necessarily have to work with these people directly for them to endorse you, which is what we're going to dig into today, okay? So there are a few types of cosign conversations that I want to have. And the first one here is endorsements. And that's essentially when somebody can, again, say, this person is a really quality person. It's possible they are endorsing you because they have worked with you in some capacity, right? They've worked with you at having you come out and lead a session for them, be a trainer, be a speaker. They've worked with you, maybe you were in a program together, right? They were your mentor, your coach, or they were your partner, right? Maybe you are in a space where you are now venturing out and doing your own business, but there are people who can endorse you because when you were in the corporate arena, you were working with them. So the endorsements from people don't necessarily mean that they have directly purchased your product or service, but they see how you work, they know how you work in some capacity. It may not be there, by the way, endorsing your business overall or endorsing a specific product within your business, but endorsing you as a person or some aspect of a skill set or a quality that you exude, right? So again, where getting co-signed is a little bit different from collaborations, is again, really people don't necessarily have to directly be a customer or client from you, right? But with that being said, outside of some sort of affiliated endorsement, you also have testimonials, right? So those are people who are like, listen, I can totally vouch for this person. I've worked with them. I'm above and beyond happy with the results, and ... right? So actually, if you were to go to facebook.com/SistaSense/reviews, I have a review section, and I think I have a 4.9 out of 5, which is pretty awesome. 5 out of 5 would be great. I know why I have a 4.9. There's one guy wanted me to promote his stuff, and it really wasn't in line with what I wanted to do. So he would email me like aggressively, and I basically said to him, again, not really in line with what I want to do. Sorry, I can't, promote this at the time. And, he went from being all excited about me, and simultaneously, if you see in the review section, gave me a good review, and then the next review, he was like, I don't recommend. You can't be mad at me because I don't want to push your product on my people, but whatever. So 4.9 out of 5, pretty awesome. Number one, I always mention that for multiple purposes. For you to take a look, for you to add a review to facebook.com/SistaSense, but then also for you to, out of curiosity, go to your Facebook business page and look at your review section. If I was surprised, first of all, I didn't know I had a review section when they added it because Facebook is always adding features. So I was kind of like not aware of it and that people were using it. So it was pretty awesome to see it. And then I started to actually proactively direct people to it. And so some of you may be like a blonde, having a blonde moment like me and not realize it, or maybe it's been a while since you've checked it. Okay. And feel free, by the way, out of curiosity, while we're having this conversation today, to go there, check it out, and then let me know if you see it, if you've got some reviews there, maybe some new ones that you haven't seen before, or maybe it's just a good reminder to go there and check the reviews that you have. So let me see here, just checking in comments. I tried, I couldn't find it. There were so many. I'm not sure what you mean by that. You couldn't find your review section? So, or my review section. I'm not sure what you mean by that. So every page actually has, so it says SistaSense.com. Oh, all right, let me backtrack. If you go directly to Facebook, okay, they used to have a button that said reviews, but now they've actually changed it. So when you look, I don't know why they did this, because they changed the design a lot. In the latest review, when you see the person's score, like if you scroll down and you see SistaSense and it says 4.9, beside it there's a link that says reviews. And I'm just like, why did you change it? They used to have a very big reviews tab, and now it's like, look for 4.9, and you can either click the 4.9 or click the icon beside it that says reviews. Me personally, when I'm talking to somebody, I will just send them directly to that page. I'll say go to facebook.com/SistaSense/reviews, and usually I will give them the link. I will, because, me saying it, I don't know if they're going to type it in, but I usually would just kind of give people the link in an email and say, hey, I'd love for you to write a review, click here to do that, so it's easy for them. But there is everybody, like if your website name, if your Facebook name was like Bob, you would go to facebook.com/Bob/reviews, and that would be the direct link to your reviews section. Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely send you the link as well. And I want to see if I can, as I'm checking in with you guys here, just go to the page super, super, super fast so I can direct you as well, because a lot of these social media platforms, you get used to one thing and then they go and they change it on you. Okay. So I'm actually I'm looking at it on my mobile device, and I absolutely love the fact that I can do Canva on both my computer and on my phone. So give me 2 seconds here because I'm actually going to modify the slide presentation as we are working together so that I can show you a screenshot of what I'm referring to. Because I just found it. So let me just show you a screenshot of that. Okay, so I'm actually, let me just enlarge this. So that I can share that with you. Okay. Okay, so I've added it to the slides. Let me see if I can work my magic here. Pause the recording real quick. Okay, so I just actually went into the Facebook app on my SistaSense page so that I can plug in this slide. So when you're looking at facebook.com/SistaSense, you'll probably see the review score at the top. So it'll say SistaSense 4.9. If you scroll down even further where you see the SistaSense phone number and my email address, there it says 34 reviews, and you can click on the reviews and also see the rating, right? And then, of course, feel free to add reviews there and or email your reviews to sistasense@gmail.com. Good stuff. So visuals definitely help. Facebook is one of those platforms where it's like they're always changing stuff, number one, and then number two, because there is like a lot everywhere, it's very easy to miss the little details. But again, everybody who has a Facebook business page has a review section. Highly recommend you checking out yours as well and also directing people there. So testimonials. Now, outside of customer testimonials, I wanted to put reviews because a lot of these can overlap, but not necessarily. So I talked about how people can endorse you even if they didn't necessarily work with you, right? And then your testimonials will be people who directly work with you. Now, in your testimonial, they may or may not give you a review, right? And reviews are different than testimonials. Testimonials, people can say you're great, and then just that'll be that. A review is actually giving detail about a particular product or service, right? So your clients can give you detailed reviews, and you should encourage them to. I say to you, well, what did you think about the content to cash flow experience? What did you get from it? And you try to be as specific as possible, right? Or you can get reviews from people that you intentionally want to review your stuff, right? So think car dealerships. They'll have, people come in and test out the car, right? Or beauty product people. There's a company recently that emailed me. Obviously, you can tell I have locks and they're very long. So they emailed me and they were like, oh, as an influencer, we'd love it if you could, try our new products for natural hair. They're looking for people to review it and then give them back that information, right? So that's something to consider as well. Do you have or can you get reviews? And again, they don't necessarily have to be from customers, number one. Number two, you can proactively reach out to people who you think would be a good fit for your experience and ask them for a review. So a great example of that is I recently released the early version beta version of my new series called Pretty Pages. And Pretty Pages is basically my regular templates on steroids. So I don't know if you know, but you can create templates in Canva, number one, and I create a lot of templates in Canva, but you can actually build websites in Canva. Now, obviously, they're not as detailed and robust as something you could build on like a WordPress or something, but they're pretty interesting, and you can do some cool websites to kind of get you. I call them like starter websites, right? You can do some cool starter websites on the platform. So before I officially launch Pretty Pages, I've actually shared the beta launch with segmented lists. Some of you probably saw that email. And I said, hey, you know, if this is something that you're looking for, you can opt in now at a reduced rate. And one of the reasons why I said you can get it at a reduced rate is because it's an opportunity for clients to get it now, test it, for me to get testimonials, right, for me to get reviews, and for them to let me know what they'd like so I can make it even better once I do the official launch, right? Or if they feel like something's missing or have a question, that's all the stuff that I'm doing for the next few weeks as I prepare to officially launch it, right? So there are lots of different ways that you can look at these words, and they may sound the same, but in some respects they are different, right? So offering people the opportunity to either review or get access to your stuff for a limited reduced rate or for free. There are a lot of people who give their stuff away. Here's my book, read it, please, so that you can give me a review on Goodreads or Amazon. Getting co-signed is a part of the process of getting customers. So as I'm going through this, out of curiosity, how many of you have endorsements that you could share, that you can say, oh, you know, people have said some good things about me, number one. And how many of you are proactively asking for these things, testimonials, reviews, etc., okay? The next one here, as you guys are popping in the chat section, the next one here is recognition. And recognition is not limited to what I share here, but these are just a few examples, right? Maybe you have gotten awards for your work, however many years you've been doing what you do. Maybe you are on a list. Oftentimes, I would say at least once or twice a year, some platform will email me and say, oh, you are the lady of the week or the woman of the month, and you've been featured on our Instagram page, or you've been featured on our top women entrepreneurs list or something like that, right? Or a publication that has featured you, right? I've been in Ebony, I've worked with Black Enterprise, I've been in the Network Journal, you know, where have you been recognized? This is information that you've got to pull together for yourself. One of my favorite old school trainings is how to turn your website, turn your blog into a PR machine. And if you don't have a PR agent or a virtual assistant, right, more so a PR agent, because your PR person will help you put all of this stuff together. But if you don't have these things, you have to proactively put these things together for yourself. And for me, when I started to build my visibility, I used my blog as my PR virtual assistant. So I have a section on my blog called Media and Buzz. And every time I was in an Essence or I was on PBS or I went to Disney and I was like, oh my gosh, Disney flew me out, all the things, I put it there because I wanted people, if they, you know, that song, Google Me, if somebody Googled me, they could see the credibility, right? And so that's something that you've got to think about as well. Interestingly enough, it's funny, that Google Me song, it was like a new thing. It was like a phenomenon. Now we don't just Google like companies or businesses. We just Google people. Like you go, oh, what's his name? What's his address? You know, what's his handle? And all of a sudden you're like looking at individuals and looking through all their business, right? So as an entrepreneur, one of the things that I recommend is to take control of your identity. Make sure that you dictate the story. So if there are things about you that you want people to know, then you need to be the person putting that information up there. One of my best friends from elementary school, her name is Nicole Brown. And I got to tell you, Nicole Brown is one of the most generic common names of all freaking time. Like, think about Anna Nicole Smith, right? There are a lot of Nicoles out there, right? But if you have a name that is common, not just your first name, but when you put your first and your last name together, it's like 5 other people pop up in Google, then you want to make sure that you're proactively creating enough content for you. Now, supposedly there are other LaShanda Henrys out there, because when I saw a duplicate on Facebook and I was like, take this down, they were like, no, this is a legit person or whatever. And I see pictures, so I'm like, okay, I guess there's another LaShanda Henry, to my surprise. But I thought it would be pretty rare, given my name combination. Henry is common, but the two together, I don't know. But anyway, there's gazillions of folks out there, so use this as an opportunity to think about proactively working on getting more cosigns, and then, of course, also thinking about the idea that you want to be in control of your digital footprint. Out of curiosity, for those of you who are participating right now, can you Google yourself and tell me what comes up? Do you see photos of you? Does your website come up? Does your social media come up? Does somebody else come up, right? This is not just about you thinking about getting cosigns, but being more proactive about putting that information about you on the digital world. So if people are looking for you, they go, oh, this person supposedly has a training or a product or a course. Let me see if they're legit. Let me see, what people are saying about them. If they have like no digital footprints, that is going to affect them, right? I was actually working with a client on a publishing project a few months ago, and so she started working with someone, and they Googled her, and they were like, oh, I found these videos of you. And so she said, LaShanda, the videos they found of me are the ones that you took of me when we did training together in North Carolina and when we did training together in Virginia. So I really do help my clients create a lot of digital content, and I post it on my platform. So, if you've done video with me or articles or things of that nature, that helps, because you want other people to be talking about you, right? And ideally saying good things about you, right? So I want you to think about this conversation around cosigns. Let's see here. I've got a number of rewards and recognition. Awesome. So are those things featured on your website? Let's see. No, not proactive. I have a few. Okay, so most of you are saying that you do have a few of these things. Also, make sure that you differentiate, whether it's an endorsement from somebody who knows you and there's a particular skill. Maybe you did a training for them and they were like, oh my gosh, this person was amazing, right? Or it was a client testimonial, it was a review. Referrals as well, right? That's somebody co-signing you. They're saying you should definitely go to ... I've had people come to me and include my services in books or include my services on a resource page so that or a directory, and say, okay, if you need ... go to LaShanda, right? So that's a co-signment. You want to be in directories, books, on resource pages, again, to help you get more customers. I talked about recognition from being in publications, on different broadcasting channels, on lists, awards, etc. And then sponsor recognition. So there is an opportunity for you to get recognized because you've earned it and people acknowledge it, they see it, and they want to spotlight you, or because you've paid for it, right? And there's nothing wrong with doing that. People go further faster by strategically doing sponsorships, whether it be look, for example, when you go to Google, right, and you Google something, you'll see sponsored stuff comes up first, right? So the people who, or if you're on Amazon or eBay, right? I just got some stuff for my kid on eBay. When you search, the people who pay, their sponsored ads come up first, right? So if you want to get cosigns, it does take time to build up your credibility and get recognized, earn recognition. You can pay for recognition as well. There are a lot of people who pay influencers to review their stuff, or as I mentioned before, give their stuff away for free strategically, okay? So all food for thought. So there are a few examples that I wanted to share with you as far as the power of cosign. And while this isn't necessarily homework, it definitely is a great activity. If you know of these, great, but if you're just curious, you can actually go to YouTube and check some of these out. One of them is, and I mentioned these in a conversation I had in the mastermind this past week on how to get your business together. I mentioned number one, Patty's Pies. And there was a young man, I think his name was something Wright. I want to say Justin Wright. I might be wrong about that. But if you Google Patty's Pies video, he just fell in love with Patty's Pies. And then his video went viral, and everybody, my family included, had to go and grab all of Patty's Pies to see if it was as good as this man was saying, right? And then Patti LaBelle came out and was like, my sales didn't surge because of him. They surged because my stuff was good. People were like, no, Patty, you better give this man his flowers. And because if not for him, nobody would have been buying your doggone pies. And you know it, and we know it. And so she came out and did an interview with him, and then, but she was acting a little bit funky in the beginning. Just, some people don't necessarily want to give credit where credit is due and acknowledge the power of getting co-signed. So that's one great example. Another example that I can share with you, I always talk about the Oprah effect, right? Everybody's like getting on Oprah's favorite things or Oprah's book club, right? But Beyonce has her own beehive, of course. And there are these two beautiful girls who they have the voices of angels, Chloe and Haley. They look like twins, but they're 1 year apart. They're sisters. They started doing covers of songs when they were 11 and 12 on YouTube. And then one of the songs that they sung, Pretty Hurts by Beyonce, got a lot of traction, and they were discovered by Beyonce. Well, how can you really discover somebody who's been doing something for 5 years? But they started singing 4 or 5 years later. Beyonce saw that a lot of people were listening to their YouTube, and she signed them. They got signed to Beyonce's music agency. You probably have seen these two twins on, what is it called, Grownish, because they are now acting on Grownish. They work with Disney. They're always on Disney, ... They're singing with Beyonce. They've been in quite a few of her music videos. And they got a lot of recognition because, again, of the power of being co-signed, okay? So this is definitely something that I want you to think about when it comes to, are you doing enough? Are you doing enough? Not just for you to try and figure out how to go online and market to get one customer at a time. Okay, I do this, I got a customer. I do this, I got a customer. But remember, last week I talked about when you proactively work on collaborations, you got that one-to-many effect, right? Okay, these two girls didn't just go, okay, I got one singing event, I got another singing event. So let me put my stuff up on YouTube. They've gotten millions of people watching them, and now they're working with all of these huge companies. That's something to think about. I even talked about myself how I remember, I think it was at some point in a training, one of the last trainings I did at the end of last year, I talked about how in that time period, I had gained $6,000 from 3 new clients that were referred to me from 3 of my business besties, Pam Perry, Tashina Davis, and Tyra Moody. All different businesses, different companies, but all of them had said to somebody, go to LaShanda. And that allowed me to get 3 new work clients that I was working with. And then from those clients, I got even more clients because then they were like, oh my God, this person needs to work with you, da-da-da-da-da. So point being, again, if you really want to get more customers, you have to start to diversify what strategies you're using to be seen, okay? So endorsements, testimonials, reviews, referrals, recognition, and sponsorships, right? So I want to know, for those of you who are here, hopefully I've made it clear how I define each of these. Because, again, you can look at them and go, well, isn't a testimonial and a review the same thing, right? I try to explain to you how I differentiate these, right? I want you to think about the following and check in with me via the chat, by the way. Do you have any of these? And some of you have already said you've had a few, but which kinds do you have? Number one, which kinds do you need, right? And are you going to start to work on proactively getting more of these, right? So remember we talked about doing a Dream 100 list the last time. This would be building on that conversation. Okay, so I see the comment here, not doing cosigns. So I have a huge window to get started on. Good, 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 good. My goal is always to give you new ways to look at how you are proactively working on getting new customers, okay? So that brings me to the challenge for today. And again, when you download today's Profit Project / Challenge PDF for week number 5, you'll see I've basically given you what's here in these slides as a reference. So your challenge, your mission, if you choose to accept it, is to work on collecting your credibility content. Content that really, really shows how much you have been endorsed, how much people love you. You want to glow, right? You want to glow, right? So the goal here is that you, as I love to say, you get your ASK, not that other A. You get your ask in gear. Okay, I got to make sure I put the K on it so it's clear. Your ask in gear, and start proactively asking more people for this kind of content, right? So that you can build your credibility. At the end of the day, it's funny, I'm thinking about one client in particular, right? And when I worked with her coach, she said to me, so I don't know how that conversation went down, but all of a sudden the lady called me and was like, LaShanda, I need you to build a website. So-and-so said you need to build my website. And I was like, okay, fine. This is how much it's going to cost. And after our call, she paid, right? So then I started working on her website. So then her coach was like, oh my gosh, LaShanda, can you do this? I'm so sorry. I didn't know your schedule was so busy. I didn't tell her to sign up for nothing. I was just like, LaShanda's a good person to go to. I find that funny because of how quickly that transference of know, like, and trust works when somebody co-signs you. Like, if you didn't know this person from Adam, as we like to say, right? I don't know them person from Adam. I don't know who that is, right? If you didn't know this person, you would have to vet them. You would have to read 55 reviews. You got to squint your eye. You got to scratch your head. You got to be like, nah, I'm not trying to do that right now, right? All the things. But if somebody you trust says, go, you don't have to do 15 pieces of, vetting and background information because you trust that person's judgment, and so you trust their recommendation, which is why cosigns are so freaking powerful. Getting paid recognition, one, but when you get that earned recognition, whew, there honestly is nothing like it, right? So let me see here. Levon says, I have some referrals for custom projects I did. Good. So think about the ones that you have. And then also this challenge here is about you proactively going forth and getting more. So get your ASK, get your ask in gear. I want you to think about asking 10 people. Now, 10 is my goal for you. But if you even just get 2 or 3 of these, I would be happy. Asking people for a review or testimonial. I put both of those in there because, again, they don't necessarily have to be a client to give you a review, okay? And some of you may say, I'm going to actually give out samples or something so that people can get a feel of it and then let me know, right? So one of my favorite business besties, she's an amazing speaker, author, coach. She's done TEDx, all the things. She's writing her new book. And she said, LaShanda, I would love for you to review the book and to share your thoughts on the book because I would love to have that on the back cover. So that's a huge honor, for her to consider even reaching out for me to get my review and have that be on the cover. I'm really excited about working with her on that. But that's what you do. You proactively go to the people that you've worked with for those reviews, those endorsements, those testimonials, etc. So when it comes to formatting, all of the formats are on the table here. If they can just simply write something and send you a text version, great. If they can take a photo, even better, or maybe screenshots. So real talk, when I'm doing sessions with you guys and you say something in the chat box, you know, and you say, oh my gosh, I already started doing subscriptions and people are paying and I'm, yay! I mean, either I copy it or I screenshot it, because that is what I call a marketing moment. That's a testimonial in the making, right? So maybe people, and some of you look at sales pages that you go to. You'll probably see a lot of people nowadays, when you see their sales page, you'll see that they have screenshots of either tweets or of Facebook comments or Instagram comments, real screenshots of people saying how much they have gotten out of that thing, right? There's actually a tool, it's called Social Proof, and there are lots of tools like this, but the feature is that you add on an alert to your store. So you've probably seen this, and if you haven't seen it before, let me know. Sometimes you'll go to a website and it'll say, oh, this person just bought in Texas. This person just bought in Boston. This person just bought in New York. That Social Proof alerts to, it creates this psychology, that FOMO, fear of missing out, that people go, oh my gosh, people are buying it. I want to buy it too, right? That just subtle cosign. It's kind of like when I go and I look for airline tickets. Well, I haven't looked for airline tickets in a while, but you know, when you're looking for airline tickets and like you 10, 15 minutes in it, they'll go, oh, you know, these seats have been sold. They're no longer available. They're giving you real-time alerts. Side note, because I just always think of these things, I have a training on simple things that you need to do to strategically sell. And one of the EACs, as I like to call them, I've got 6 of them. One of them is express, alert, convert. And you have to express urgency and alert people to changes as sales are coming in real time. And that consciously, or rather subconsciously, motivates people to buy and converts them into customers. So either you've seen, or you'll probably be now aware of seeing when people put their sales pages together, they'll have testimonials, either just writing them or have the person's photo. They'll have video testimonials or either social media screenshots of what people are saying, because those things help. They matter, right? How many of you, when you go to Amazon, before you buy something, you read the reviews? You're like, right? Or you Google it. You'll put the name of the product in Google and put reviews to see what people are saying before you buy it. It matters, right? So video responses, audio responses, screenshots, photos, and text, whatever format you can get, multiple formats, all the better, right? So the next thing here is not just thinking about proactively going out and asking for people to give you reviews and testimonials, but you curating your content. I love curate, such a, you know, dictionary word. But basically go and find your reviews. Some of you already have this stuff. People have said great things about you. They've sent you emails, direct messages. They've written stuff on your website, or you have photos. You have stuff, but it's kind of like my messy room. It's kind of all over the place. It doesn't work for you that way. It doesn't work for you in your inbox. It doesn't work for you sitting on some, you know, computer. It works for you when you go find them and then you use them. So a part of this process is to either proactively go out and get more of them, or make it a point to go and collect the ones you already have so you can start to use them on your sales pages. You can start to use them on, you know, create a, you know, a testimonials page. You can start to use them in videos. The sky's the limit. There are a lot of people in between putting up different types of social media posts. They just put up testimonials, right? All important. Now, I know it's Sunday, so you see me going on my church, you know, what do they call it, my soapbox here. But I have to, because a lot of times if you don't tell people why they should be doing something, they won't do it. They'll know that, yeah, I should get testimonials, but then what you going to do? You're just going to keep doing what you do and selling the product, right? Well, let me tell you about Patty's Pies. Let me tell you about my $6,000 from 3 referrals. Let me tell you about Chloe and Halle getting signed by Beyonce. Okay, let's look at it from a different perspective, because sometimes we know other things that we should be doing, but again, subconsciously, we still don't do them because we're not quite sure why. And again, 1 or 2 or 3 good cosigns could do more for you than one marketing strategy that you keep doing over and over again, or once in a blue moon when you can have the time to do it. Okay? So, and that's why a lot of times when people come to me, they scratch their head and they're like, I don't get how you are able to either sell low price point products, or you don't pay for ads, you do organic marketing. I know you do social media, but I don't see you doing live streams every day. I mean, what the hell? You know, I don't see you going to events every weekend. So how are you doing this? It really is a combination of some of all parts. You know, me strategically marketing, me strategically creating content, me getting consistent referrals, me retaining customers, me getting new customers from old customers. It's the sum of all those things that helps me create a sustainable business, right? Which is why I want you to get into a place where you don't feel like overwhelmed, like, oh my God, I have to do 50 things at once. But I do want you to Lego this thing. Start to do the pieces, and as you add them up, it will become a bigger, more impactful experience for you as the business owner and for your customers too. Okay? So outside of asking for reviews, I want you to go and curate the reviews that you already have. Start putting them in folders or in documents so that when you need them, you can go grab them. Even consider creating an as seen on graphic, right? So you've seen those with logos of places that people have been featured. If you've been on television, radio, magazines, people put as seen on SistaSense, right? If you've worked with brands that you really love, put them in an as seen on graphic to, again, work on showing people that you have been co-signed, right? You've been endorsed. You've been approved. And then also even consider putting together a review page. How many of you have either an as seen on graphic? Let me know. For those of you who are here, do you have one of those? Or do you have a review page where people could just go and read what people are saying about you? Okay? So outside of just simply having a page, you could direct them towards your Facebook page if you have a Facebook business page, but do you have these things? And then the last thing on this list here is the Meet Me project. Do you remember a week ago or 2 weeks ago, I said to you, I'm giving you a Canva template for Meet Me, and you can use this to introduce yourself. You can use it to introduce other people on your platform, but ideally, can you use it to put your information in there and then share it with me so that I can say, hey, let me introduce you to these amazing women who are a part of my platform. This is how we've worked together. This is what we've gotten, they've gotten from being a part of SistaSense. This is what they're doing in their business. Because again, a lot of clients, when they Google themselves, it's the things that they've written for me or the videos we've done together or links that I have on my website. That stuff comes up in the conversation of them, and working on your digital footprint is definitely a part of the process. Okay? Totally, yes. So, as always, check in with me if you've got any questions about what we've talked about today. Friendly reminder, number 1, we are on week 5 of this 6-week online business program, right? The Content to Cashflow experience. But I've actually decided to, and I was kind of thinking about doing this as a 12-week program to begin with. But I said, you know what, LaShanda, never overextend yourself because you don't know how life is going to go. Just try to do 6 weeks, right? And then we'll see from there. So I reached out to you guys to see if you would like to do 12. Quite a few of you said, I'd be interested. Let me know. If you go to the replays page, you will see a green button, which will give you more information on how to get the extension, which is you have invested into 6 weeks. If you want to go even longer to get the full 12-week experience, feel free to go there and invest. What we'll do is after we're done with week 6, which is next week, we're going to take a 1-week break, and then we're going to do the next 6 weeks after that. That's going to be an opportunity for us to ultimately work on all the ABCs when it comes to content creation and marketing. So for me, side note, when I say ABCs, I love to work on, number one, audio-based content, which we've done. Number two, book content, which we're working on now. And number three, C's, and my C's are different things, right? So creating things like courses, challenges, continuity programs. The subscription program that we did is a great example of a continuity program, so you can work with people on a consistent basis. So basically, you know, we started off with the continuity program, the audio product, and the book project, and then we're going to go into some other C project types going into the next 6 weeks of this series, as well as continuing to talk about how to get customers, work on your leads, work on your marketing, work on your sales. So if you're interested in that, again, you should see a green button on the replays page so that you can go from the 6-week program to the 12-week experience. Right now, there is a reduced rate for my early adopters, and that's going to be available for the next 7 days, and then it's just going to go to the regular rate of what the extension is going to be. So feel free to check in with me if you have any questions about that. There are actually 2 ways for you to experience the extension right now. One way is just to get the 12 weeks extension, right? The other way is to get the bundle that I've put together, because some of you want to work with me on a deeper level. So that bundle includes a couple of things. Number one, you'll get 3 one-on-one sessions with me. So outside of the group training, if you want to work with me privately, you're going to get 3 sessions. Number 2, you are going to get 3 pretty page templates. So this gives you an opportunity to work on 3 types of pages. Number 1, landing pages, where you can get people to go learn more about things that you want them to sign up for. Number 2, you'll get a link page where you can give people several links, like the top things you want them to click on now. You'll get the custom template for that. And number 3, a sales page. So if you have a special product that you want to sell, the sales page template is designed to show you how to really, you know, put a headline, maybe a video, put some photos, and all the things. So you'll get those 3 templates, as well as other live trainings that I have coming up. So outside of this 12-week program, I have the Simple Sales Funnel training. It's a 3-day weekend workshop that's coming up. And I have the Essential Profit Pages workshop that's coming up. So you're going to get access to this, plus the upcoming workshops, plus the templates with tutorials, and 3 one-on-one sessions with me. Right now, again, that is at a reduced rate for the next 7 days, and then it goes to the regular rate after that, because I have to cap it. I can only do this for but so many people. But I wanted to make sure that ultimately, if you're in a space right now where you want to work with me, you want to get the templates, you want to stay in the program, I wanted to create something that was budget friendly for my fast adopters who know what they need and they're ready to go, okay? So that essentially gives you the opportunity to both, especially if you have gotten quite a few emails from me and you're like, should I get this, should I get this, should I get this? If you want to talk to me, if you want to get my custom templates to work on your web pages, and you want to make sure that you're in the program, plus you're getting access to the upcoming trainings, that bundle is it. It's basically everything that you need, okay? So before that goes up and or away, that link is available to you. And of course, if you have any questions for me, feel free to email sistasense@gmail.com, or as you're on the sistasense.com website, you can always click that gray tab on the right to send me a voice message. Now, for those of you listening live, if you had any questions about extending or getting the bundle that's available, the Work With Me bundle that's there, feel free to check in with me before we wrap up for today. I also want to know what you guys plan on working on now, right? So let me know if you plan on looking to get some reviews or endorsements or testimonials. I gave you a pretty beefy challenge list, which is not to say I hope that you do all the things, but hopefully you can find some things on this list to proactively work on getting more cosigns, in addition to writing some content for the QuickBook project that we're going to move forward the tech version into next week, okay? So as always, continue to work on your brain dump document. Now is the time to ask questions. And, you know, work on creating your designs, working on tracking your progress. We do have the Facebook group, so hopefully you're posting there to work on your just basically being consistent, right, in the process. So there's some interesting tools on YouTube right now that I saw Afi posting, and we were, kind of going back and talking about. I've been posting about the Voila app. I don't know how many of you have tried that out. It allows you to create these graphic versions of your photos. It's pretty interesting. So just posting in the group to check in with us, as always, over at firestarters.sistasense.com. And then, of course, you can check in with me, sistasense@gmail.com as well. So asking for more testimonials, good. Hopefully you can get at least 10, but, like I said, if you get 2 or 3 this week, I would be above and beyond happy. I need it to stay in school. Awesome. So definitely feel free to let me know if you have any questions about the extension. Again, right now the extension is at a reduced rate, number 1, and that's going to be available for the next 7 days, and then it's going to go to the regular rate. Number 2, there are 2 options. So either you can just get the 12-week program extension, or you can get it as part of the bundle. And I'm going to be honest with you, the bundle is, to me, the best solution because, again, it gives you one-on-one sessions with me, gives you access to the templates that allow you to create some of these pages for your projects, and then also gives you access to not only this training, but the upcoming webinar trainings that I have that really complement this one as well. So there's a lot in there at a reduced rate, but of course, if you do have questions for me, feel free to check in and let me know. Jess got that app. It's lots of fun. I know, right? Oh my gosh. Voila is like my new obsession, but that's what happens when things are trending, right? We're like, what's new? What's going on? So anywho, as always, guys, thank you so much for joining me today and powering through with the minor tech hiccups. But as always, I'm here to support and help you get clear about your next best step as part of the Content to Cashflow experience. So feel free to check in with me throughout the week, and I will continue to do what I need to do to make sure that you are working towards getting your customers, getting clear, and getting started. Till next time, take care.